Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to my channel, Simply Dji-ji. I am Dji-ji and I teach you how to make delicious recipes really simple. Today we're going to be making a Nigerian vegetable soup. It's called a soup, but it's more like a stew. It's really simple. It's some meat, it's some collard greens, it's spinach, and some spices. So let's get started. What I did was I cooked my meat off camera. I have about 3 pounds of goat meat here that I boiled until tender. And you can use whatever meat you want, beef, turkey. You can even use just fish for it if you want. I'm gonna be using some palm oil. I'm also gonna be using, I've got some smoked fish, which I soaked in hot water and I deboned. I have got 1 red bell pepper that I chopped up really small. I've got 1 beef steak tomato that I diced. I've got 1 red pepper that I diced and no, not a red pepper, I'm so sorry. 1 red onion that I diced, and also half of a white onion. I've got 3 habanero peppers here that I chopped up. I've got 5 cloves of garlic chopped as well. I have 1 package of it was frozen collard greens that I thawed and squeezed the water out. And this is 3 packages of spinach that were thawed and water squeezed out. It's really important for you to squeeze the water out because you don't want the vegetable stew to be watery. And I'm gonna be using some salt for seasoning. I'm gonna be using a Maggi cube, and I'm also gonna be using some dry thyme and dry basil as well. So we start off by putting in, I'm just gonna eyeball it, but it's gonna be between 3/4 cup and 1 cup of palm oil. This is just about a cup of palm oil. And I've got my heat. It was on like a medium high before, but I lowered it to start the video. And I'm gonna grab my thyme and basil. I'm just gonna throw in a bit of, now you don't want your palm oil to be too hot because you don't want it to bleach. And bleaching is when palm oil gets really hot and then it changes color to like a whitish color. So you don't want that to happen. So I'm just gonna put in my dry herbs and just put in as much as you like. And also I'm gonna be adding to it, this is not usually part of the recipe, but I'm gonna be adding my green seasoning because I really like this seasoning. If you wanna know what's in it, watch my video labeled how to make episode, and it shows you how to make this green seasoning. It was supposed to be labeled how to make épices, but I think autocorrect on the phone labeled it episode, and I didn't see that, and I posted it. But that's what it is. So I'm just gonna stir my onions to the pot. And I want those to fry up. My oil wasn't quite hot enough, but that's okay. You just want it to be a little bit more hot than it was. And you can test your oil by throwing in a piece of your onion into there. So we're just gonna give it a minute to fry up. All right, and this is what you want to look for. Your onions are cooked but not caramelized. I'm gonna go ahead and add my red bell pepper to the pot and get all that in there. Give it a good stir. After that, I'm going to add my garlic. So do want that to cook. Mix that all up. I'm gonna give that about 5 minutes to fry up. Okay, this has been frying up for about 4 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and add my flavoring cube if I can get it open. You can omit this. I know some people don't like to use Maggi, but you can use seasoned salt, you can use sea salt, all-purpose seasoning, whatever you like. I just like the flavor that this gives. I'm going to go ahead and stir it all up. Next, I'm going to add my habanero peppers in there that I cut up really small. It may cause you to sneeze if you're not used to hot peppers. And again, if you don't like spicy food, you can leave it out, or you can use just one or two. Whatever, you can cook it to whatever your taste is. I just happen to like spicy food, and my husband likes spicy food, so I used the 3 habanero peppers. And this vegetable stew you can eat, you know, with boiled plantains, fried plantains. You can eat it with fufu, pounded yam. You can eat it with boiled yams. You can even eat it with rice. The baby says hello, and that is a very versatile dish. And you can also make this vegetarian or vegan by leaving the meat out. You can just do this process that you see me doing and not adding the meat part. You can even make it pescatarian. You know, if you're not eating meat, you can do seafood, just fish. Very versatile. So we're gonna go ahead and add our tomatoes. I like to use the fresh tomatoes because of the flavor that it brings to the dish instead of canned. But if you don't have fresh tomatoes in hand, you can use canned sliced tomatoes, but try to do fresh if possible. So now I'm going to add some salt. And it's going to be, I'm eyeballing again, about a tablespoon full of salt. Remember, you're going to be adding lots of spinach and collard greens, so you need to season this well so that everything is seasoned. So you're going to let this cook to let the peppers cook down, to let the tomatoes cook down, and to let it dry up a bit. So we will be back. This has been cooking for about 10 minutes now on medium-high heat. And no, you're not crazy. During the process, I changed the side of the stove to the side has a hotter heat. So I'm gonna go ahead and put in about 3 tablespoons of my green seasoning. This is not part of the original Nigerian recipe, but you know, I'm from Haiti. We put ipis in everything. It just makes it better. My husband doesn't know how to do this. I'm going to go ahead and do this up. I sneezed about 4 times from the peppers. And we're just going to raise my heat a little bit. And the good thing about palm oil is it doesn't pop like regular oil. So there's no need to be super cautious. So I'm going to go ahead and add my cooked meat. Again, this is goat meat. And I cooked it, I seasoned it, boiled it till it was tender. I did add garlic and a full sliced onion to the boiling water. Just going to go ahead and put all that in there. I'm not going to be adding any liquid to this soup or stew. The oil and the liquid from the tomatoes is really the only liquid. And of course, even though I squeezed out the greens, there's still probably a little bit of liquid in there still. And at this point, you want to taste it. You want to taste it for seasoning. You want to taste it for salt. Because after this process is over, the soup is almost done. You're just gonna throw in your green veggies and then cook it for about 5 minutes, and then it's done. So again, taste it for seasoning. Anything that it's missing, add at this point. And I'm going to cover this, and I'm gonna let this cook for I'm gonna say 5 to 7 minutes so that the meat can take on the flavorings. It's been cooking for about 10 minutes now. I'm gonna go ahead and throw in my smoked fish. I'll get that all coated. And then I'm throwing in my collard greens. And that was 1 pack of collard greens, frozen collard greens. So now you're gonna get an arm workout because you gotta stir, stir, stir. Let me find my pot holder. Alright, gotta put the pot holder here. You just wanna make sure everything's incorporated and mixed in. It looks good as it is, but we're gonna be adding the spinach to it. I'm just gonna raise the heat a little bit. I just want to make sure nothing's sticking to the bottom and everything is mixed. Then I'm going to add my spinach. So this is 1 package of, this was cut leaf spinach, which is like the longer, and this is 2 packs of chopped spinach. So I'm just gonna go ahead and, I don't want to just throw it all in, and I washed my hands off the camera, so I'm just gonna like pull it apart, just place it everywhere. And again, you want this to be drained and the water squeezed out. So if you don't do that, at this point the spinach would start getting watery and you would have too much liquid in your stew. So just go ahead and do that. And add the rest in. And get ready to stir. Just gonna wash my hands real quick because I have spinach all over them. Alright, I'm just gonna lower my heat a little. I don't want this to burn. I'll just start sticking. And you just want to start slowly. I'm going to start on one side. And start on one side and work your way all around to get everything incorporated. You want to kind of do that on low heat so you can get everything mixed in. And then we're going to raise the heat a little bit. So what you don't want to see is you don't want to see like patches of dry spinach with nothing on it. Like you don't want this to happen. So you want to continue to mix until it all looks like this side. Alright, it is all mixed in. So everything has a mixture on it, all the spinach is mixed in. But what we're going to do is raise the heat to medium-high, and then we're going to just cover this and let this simmer for 5 to 7 minutes, and then we're going to turn it off. Because we don't want our spinach to cook too much. Alright, this has been cooking for about 7 minutes, and I'm just going to give it a good stir. Make sure it's not stuck to the bottom of the pot. And this is done. There you have it. This is Nigerian vegetable soup or stew, as I like to call it. Again, you can eat it with whatever you like, and you can make this vegetarian by just starting at the frying part and not adding any meat. I think the baby's hungry, so I'm gonna leave you guys and go feed her. Until next time, until the next video, stay blessed and stay hungry. Good night.